Good morning. It is day 7, and I am still sick. I don't like being sick for this long. I'm used to getting over things pretty quickly. With that being said, I'm feeling well enough that I am going to go to the fair today. I've got to be there at 12. Well, I've got to be there by 12:30 because they're doing the quiz bowl, which is basically where the kids have to compete to know as many facts about goats as they possibly can. So whoever knows all the parts and information about goats the best is the winner. And I am helping with that, I think. I think I did help with it last year as well. I don't know if there's any other competitions today that I'll be helping out with, but that's the first one. And I wanted to give you a bit of an update on how my reading went yesterday because I did read a little bit of my new books. So for Galileo's Daughter, I read like a chapter, and these chapters aren't short, but I got to page 230.
Somehow what I was trying to explain here didn't come out very well. So basically, Galileo had been writing this paper. It was called Dialogue because it was written in a dialogue between Copernicus, Aristotle, and Ptolemy. It was his way of discussing Copernicism, which was basically the idea that the sun is the center of the solar system and the earth and all the other heavenly bodies revolve around the sun. And that was such a controversial subject, he presented it as this conversation, as this hypothetical. And originally this paper was reviewed and approved by the Holy Office of, the Vatican. But because Pope Urban VIII was starting to face some backlash for other things that people were unsatisfied about with him, he decided to use Galileo as a scapegoat. And then all of a sudden they were finding all these faults in this paper that was already published because Galileo had already gotten approval. But now they're asking him to take it off the shelves, do not publish this, and he has to come in for a trial.
Galileo has dealt with many sicknesses throughout his time, and he's like in his late 60s, and he's like, I can't travel. And they're like, nope, you're traveling whether you like it or not. So I don't know what happens from here. And so we'll see if he survives that journey. We'll see what happens during the interrogation. So that's where I'm at with Galileo's Daughter. And then I did start Part of Your World last night by Abby Jimenez. And I'm a little concerned only because this has a very similar plot to It Happened One Summer in some ways, not in all ways, but she's wealthy, or at least she comes across as wealthy and beautiful and popular. And he's this guy from a small town. He's also got that beard, like lumberjack look, where our sea captain in It Happened One Summer had the sea captain look with the beard, and the very similar main male characters, it seems like, except I haven't gone into it very far yet. So I don't know personality wise if they're going to be too similar. But what makes them meet at the very beginning of this is that she's gone to a funeral and she sees a raccoon when she's driving home, and she drives into a ditch. Well, he helps her pull her car out of the ditch, then leaves. But then she actually shows up at the bar where he's hanging out with pretty much everybody that lives in this town, because it's a very, very small town. They just start hitting it off from there, and they end up having a bit of fun that night. And she leaves the next morning to go back to her life. And it sounds like she's a doctor or something. They haven't said exactly what she does, but she lives within this legacy in her family where at least one of her family members throughout time has been working at that hospital. And she doesn't want to break this tradition, this legacy, but the head surgeon of the hospital is her ex, who is just abusive in a lot of ways. I don't know if he's physically abusive, but he's definitely emotionally abusive. And I haven't got to the point where they talk more about the relationship with the two of them, but I'm sure that's going to come up. And she doesn't want to stay there, but her twin brother, who's also a doctor, has just thrown a curveball at her, and he's not looking like he's going to stay there either at the hospital. I don't know how the situation between Alexis, our main character, and Daniel, our main male character, are going to come back together, because he's like in some remote little town out in the middle of nowhere, unless she actually goes back and tries to spend more time with him. But one thing that really does bother her, at least surprised her when she first had her thing with him, is that he's 10 years younger than her. So she's like 38 and he's 28, and that's freaking her out a bit. I do enjoy an age gap relationship, so that should be a lot of fun. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I don't have any strong feeling towards these characters. Like, there's not an initial like, ooh, I like these characters. I don't feel that way. Not yet pulled in by these characters, but I'm only 34 pages in, so it may take a little time, a little bit of character development for me to be able to really invest in them. Okay, I've been talking for a long time at you, so I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, so I'm home and I'm exhausted. I got out of the house for a few hours though, so I'm venturing out into the world, let's put it that way. But I was like sweaty while I was out, and it was just humid, and I was just feeling bleh. But that's just because I'm still a little sick. It was fun. They did the Knowledge Bowl, so the kids basically are answering questions about goats. And then I also had to judge self-determination, which are the like different arts and crafts projects and stuff the kids do that feature goats in some way. And so that was fine. I kept second guessing myself because they all put work into it, so it was great to see that, but there wasn't anything that really stood out this year, and so I was like, oh, maybe I should give this first place. No, maybe I should give this first place. There was a lot of second guessing, but I finished that, handed out the ribbons, and I told my aunt, okay, we'll be back over the weekend because tomorrow we have to go judge the costume contest, but a lot of the fit and showing and all the different goat classes don't actually start until this weekend. So Saturday I'll be there for like half the day, Sunday I'll be there for a good portion of the day, and then Monday I'll be there all day long. So yeah, most of the actual work helping out with my aunt and all the judging and stuff like that won't come for the next few days. And then I'm back in time that I will be able to go do dumplings with my cousins tonight. Oh, I should say, I started listening to a new audiobook. It's not new, but I was trying to read Bedlam Stacks by Natasha Pulley last month for Magical Realism for TBR Trail, and I didn't get it done in time because I went on the cruise. But we got Magical Realism again this month, and so I'm listening to Bedlam Stacks by Natasha Pulley as an audiobook, and that works out perfectly because as I go to and from the fair, I have time while I'm in the car driving to and from to listen to that audiobook. So hopefully I'll be able to get that one done. We are basically with this guy named Merrick who got into a really big injury because he was working for the East India Company. So this is historical fiction and during the time of colonialism, obviously. He broke his leg or got into some situation that caused him to have this chronic injury, which will, hopefully heal and get better, but he'll never be able to walk the same again. And the East Indian Company wants him to go to Peru to seek out these trees that have, when you use the bark or something like that, there's a remedy to malaria. Oh, you can create quinine. And once you create quinine with them, that's a remedy to malaria. And malaria has been increasing rapidly within India, so they want to make sure they're growing these trees that will help create more of the remedy. So because of his injury, he can't do this expedition alone, and he doesn't even think he wants to do it, but they reel in his friends who are geographers and anthropologists who will do all the physical work, but he's going to guide them because he knows how to take care of these trees and maybe like where they can find the trees, and he has a connection to Peru through his father. So basically, they have just started out on this journey to Peru, and that's where I'm at so far. Okay, I'm switching positions because my arm was falling off. So that's that, and I haven't had a chance to do any other reading today, but I have been working on my vlog a little bit for yesterday. So once I get that vlog completed, or I'll work on it a little bit more, but I also am going to dip back into Galileo's daughter for a little while. I'm going to probably try and put an hour of that in, and then continue on with Part of Your World. And that's my plan for today, now that I'm home. Still haven't gone grocery shopping, still haven't done much, still feeling pretty bad. Yeah, I'm hoping my brain goes back to normal, and that it's not just going to be like this forever. You ever get that way when you get sick and it lasts a while, and you're like, is this the new norm? Is my brain just going to be foggy all the time now? Am I going to feel like I'm floating everywhere I go? Is dizzy a thing now for me? I know it's not reality, but I'm just tired of it. I just want it to go away. Okay, so I'm currently at a section where Galileo has been not necessarily imprisoned at this point, but he's been required to go to the Vatican and wait until a trial. This is the main trial that he faced during his whole career. And he's like 70 years old. His health has always been ailing. We're actually going through the interrogation questions, and it was all written down, so you get to see basically what they're asking him and then how he's responding. And of course, all of this has to do with the Copernican theory that the sun is actually the center of the universe and the earth rotates around it, which the Vatican was completely against because it did not align with the scripture. This is something that various popes and various cardinals had really dabbled with the idea because they really liked learning the science. They really liked hearing the views of Galileo, and he was a very close ally of the church for so long. But at this point, they're basically just saying that he's breaking all these rules and that he's intentionally trying to teach this doctrine that is not valid. It's funny because his argument is that the cardinal said that he was allowed to teach it hypothetically, but he was not allowed to teach it in actuality. But I do think it's funny, like, why would you hypothetically teach about the sun being the center of the universe? Well, not universe, but our solar system. Anyways, like, just for fun, just for entertainment. Like, as a scientist, he would be teaching that because that's a possible alternative to what the established reality was. Well, established belief was at the time. And so he's using his argument. His whole argument is like, well, they said I could talk about this hypothetically, and that Copernicus could talk about it hypothetically. We could talk about it hypothetically. And as long as we're keeping it hypothetical and not actually saying it's the realities, that it's the truth, then it's okay. And I just think that's so funny. Like, that just seems so strange to have to, like, make it fiction in order to be able to discuss this advancement in science, these discoveries that they were making at the time, and how ridiculous that is. Like, it's just so ridiculous because you don't want to step on any toes or hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. So, yeah, I think it's fascinating, but also just very wonky. It's kind of wacky. How unfulfilling that would have been. Like, as a scientist, as somebody who's made these incredible discoveries, used math and proofs to support these theories, how frustrating that had to have been. And yet, he loved the church. He was a really strong proponent of the church, so he would have wanted to stay within their favor. Okay, so I made a dent in Galileo's daughter. A small dent, but it was still a dent, and I'm getting ready to head to bed and read more of Part of Your World, but I just wanted to sign out before I forget. I am going to choose my next shelf tomorrow because that's starting the second week, so we'll find out in the morning what shelf I'll be working on next, and at that point I'll be putting this one and Galileo's Daughter down until I finish whatever book or books I end up choosing for next week's. So yeah, I gotta make some progress in this before I have to put it down. Anyways, I can't wait to find out what's next and how I'm gonna be able to make it work with my TBR trail and Herkyed and all the stuff I need to make things work for. Fingers crossed, I'm able to make some progress. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens tomorrow. I really hope this congestion goes away by tomorrow. It'll be day 8 and the start of a new week for 1 week, 1 shelf. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. Bye.